Hi and welcome. My name is Larry Pollock and I'm here in my home to talk about the Genaray MoonBright. This is an LED light for video, but it can also be used for stills. As you can see, it looks like a normal moonlight. And the reason I'm here in my home before I head to the studio is this window. I wanted to have some bright sunlight behind me while we're videotaping and put one of these lights up and see how well it would illuminate me. And then I'll add this other one in a minute and we'll have two video lights and see what happens. But I needed one of the two I had to show you. Now this is a 50-watt unit. They make a 100-watt unit. And it comes with a remote to control multiple lights, I believe up to 10. And I'll get that out of my hand here. We've got a little sock to go over the reflector, and down inside there you can see we have a little LED panel, so it can be very little heat coming out of these instead of a modeling light you might have in a strobe or any other kind of a light that would get hot for you. So this has a Bowens mount here, and we can just pull this lever here and remove this from the surface here. But I'm going to leave it on so I can quickly set it up over there, but you can see that LED panel in there. There's a MonoBright little PCB panel. And it seems to be putting out quite a bit of light. I don't want to stare into it because I start seeing stars. But I do have control on the back from 10% to 99% and an on-off switch. And I've got a connector here, and that goes down to a power block on the floor which has a longer cable to go out and plug in. So there's actually quite a bit of cable down here for you to use. You won't need much of an extension cord in most cases. You can get an optional battery pack, or you could use other brands of power to come up, but they do make a battery pack for these with a special battery cable, so you could take these into the field and do remote work with them. And they do have your standard connectors go on a 5/8 inch spigot and connect and tilt them. So we're going to do more in the studio with these and go over them, see how they do under some real conditions and play around with them, see how the color temperature looks, and see if there's anything about them we can make suggestions to improve them for the next round for them. But right now they're very simple, very easy to use. So I'm going to go over here and set this up, and let's see what happens when we have two video lights on me. Alright, as you can see, I probably look quite a bit brighter. I did not put the sock on that reflector, so it definitely has got a little bit more punch coming to it, probably a little harder light and things. These are very small, hard lights right now, though you could put them through, let's say, a quarter stop diffuser or a small softbox that you might have with a Bowens mount, which we'll play around with again down in the studio. So this is going to be an interesting experiment. I use a lot of studio flash, but there are times that I use small LED light panels, and these may be another solution in the studio. So let's get down to the studio and take a look and see what we can do with them. Hi, I'm down here in Parkwood Studios near downtown Phoenix and have set up the lights here that we're talking about, the Genaray MoonBrights. I have the 50-watt versions here. I have one I'm using for this video right now, and I've set up over here a simple product shot, just backlighting this diffusion panel here and bring the light across from the back. I'll probably have a couple of bounce cards in here. I may even try and add in another light and see if I can do something with it. But I'll also check the color balance. I have the cameras, we'll set it to the lights, which I believe is 5200, but I'll go verify that before I set the camera K number. But I'll also take a shot with a gray card so we can check that on my monitor at home. I do have that calibrated to be correct. So, so far I'm liking these. They worked very well. You can get these in kits of 3, which is probably the best way to get them. You get a good discount, and you can then have enough lights to do a video shoot. I have just a single light now, but it would be nice to fill with at least 2. You might need a third in the mix depending on the number of people. If you want a backlight, it's nice to have them. They're lightweight and easy to transport here. Beyond that, I think that the real proof's going to be in shooting them. I shoot bicolor panels. They're about this big, and I have a little trouble with the color, but those are older panels, and I have a little trouble getting the white balance right in those. I get some color fringing, like certain colors that come through in there, even though it's supposed to be correct. These seem to be a lot more accurate. Their color rating is over 90 here, and I'll get the exact information in the wrap-up of this on that information on it. Of course, you can look all that up on the website on B&H and take a look at the all the specs on these. Depending on your situation, you might want the ones that are 100 watts. You have the extra power, and you can always dial them back because these go down to about 10% all the way up to the 99%. I have this one set here in video right now at about 70%. The one I'm using back here is at 50%, so I'm a lot closer in to my subject, which is this nice rose-colored watch here. It looks gold, rose gold. So a couple little things I'd like to add in here to the end of it. On the next version that they make of these, I think that they use an XLR connector, was like an audio connector for a mic on the back to bring power in. And that would be nice if it was more of a standard connector you might find on most other things like your computer and a lot of other moonlights out there. That connector is down at the power block on the floor, and then it switches over and comes up to the XLR. The only other little niggle would be the umbrella holder. There's two holes that you can slip things in there with your rod, and the little screw that tightens it up, it does interfere with tilting these beyond a certain point. So if you need to tilt them at a very steep angle, you might want to get yourself some kind of a knuckle to put on with them. It would solve that, but I think that's a design thing that they could adjust on the next version as part of the base that goes on to a standard 5/8 spigot on a stand. So really that's about it. Everything else is very easy to use. So, you know, put up plenty of light, and the color balance seems to be very, very close, and we're going to check that out. So I'm going to shoot these shots here. I'll do a little wrap up after I have them, take a look at what we got, and see any other final thoughts after I've actually shot still, since these are generally used for a lot of video work. Let's see what happens shooting some still shots. I'll be back with you in a bit. Well, here I am at my editing station now, and as you can see, here's the final image. This isn't a single image, but this is a focus stack, and if you're not familiar with that, it's basically taking a series of shots focusing on different parts of the image. In this case, I started in the lower left and worked my way across the image, making sure I had covered all of the ground and overlapped them enough. And then we blend those in Photoshop or other third-party software to get the final focus image. The f2.8 100mm f2.8 macro lens was not going to give me enough depth of field for a single shot, so that's the solution working down this realm. I also have a 180mm macro, and that even narrows it further, so I've learned to do a lot of focus stacking. So everything came out great. I could of course go farther and do more with the watch, lots more things in editing, a lot more things that take time and setup. There's many things you could go further with this, but this was a very, very simple shot and came out really well. And I, of course, used mostly a single light, but I did add the second Genaray over the top to add an extra fill into the face there, and then adjust the ratio between the two lights to my liking, and came up with this look right here. And if we go over here and let's take a look at the where we go, there it is. I'm looking for color range, daylight, 5200K. That's where I had the camera set. And when I came back with the white card shot, or the gray card, excuse me, and I took a sample of it with the eyedropper tool in Lightroom, I did see this adjustment about 200 to 300K depending on what I clicked on. I actually tried clicking inside the picture on the gray background and see what would happen, and just play with that a little bit. And it seems to be true that they need a little bit of adjustment, and of course that becomes the artist's choice at some point. If you want a little cooler, a little warmer, but as the software likes it, it did shift about 200 to 300K down, generally toward about 5200, even down to 4900, right into that range there. And so just be aware of that. You can easily, that's an easy fix in any software in modern days, whether it's video or stills. This lamp life, 50,000 hours. I don't think you're going to ever go wrong with these breaking on you in the middle of a shoot or anything, but it's always good to have extra lights, so maybe one of those packs is a good way to go with 3 lights. They have a number of different things here. So I'm very pleased overall with what happened here, and I'd say take a look at them. They're a good option, and for constant light for you. They're a good price compared to getting into some of the studio strobes. And if you're not needing to freeze motion, they're very good. If you're doing video, it's a no-brainer working with LEDs these days because of the lightweight and a good light source and no heat to deal with no matter how long you're shooting for.